Moment to ground yourself. Close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. Make sure you're in a comfortable seat. So, are you high up enough? Do you have enough weight and height? All right, and then notice where are your knees in relation to your hips. So, if your knees are a little higher than your hips, then maybe get a little bit higher underneath your pelvis so that your knees can drop. And tip just ever so slightly forward. So just a teeny bit into an anterior tilt of the pelvis so that you're on the front edge of your sit bones. And let yourself ground here. Feel your sit bones drop. And notice the difference between when you kind of roll back on your sacrum. So roll back just for a moment, just to feel what happens to your spine, your heart, and then roll forward again and drop some weight into the pelvis. Okay, so finding a broad ground below you, or not below you, but the bottom of you, and connect to the earth. Let yourself ground. And feel the spine expand. Feel the crown extend just a little bit, not so much where you're tugging on yourself. Open up all the space you need for healthy, good breathing. Expand through your ribs, get broad. Melt as you exhale. Can you become your breath a little bit? Become the rhythm of the inhale and the exhale. Can you feel your body both expand and release? And just scan. How's your neck? Do you need to loosen some tension in the base of your skull or your shoulders? Are you holding strain in your face at all? Invite ease. And then as you're ready, place your palms together at your heart and bow in. Offer an intention. What's here for you today? What do you need? Great, and then let's open your eyes and let's bring ourselves onto our mat. So lie down onto your back. Have a moment to spread your limbs out. Get comfortable. Stretch your arms, stretch your legs, whatever feels really good for your body. And take a moment to just enjoy the way your limbs feel, the way your joints feel in this spaciousness. Breathe well. All right, and then as you're ready, stretch your limbs a little bit more assertively outward, all the way to your fingers and toes. Give them a good wiggle. Maybe roll your wrists and your ankles. All right, and then while you're out there, take a deep breath in and squeeze all your muscles you have access to. Find your back body, find your quads, your face, everything in between. And then melt and surrender your body. Drop into the earth. Okay, let's bend our knees. Bring your knees into your chest and rock a little bit from side to side, swaying. All right, so let the head relax, soften, melt the skull. Okay, circle the knees one direction instead of just swaying. Go in circles now and circle the other direction. Feel into the sacrum. And then open your knees wide and bring them back in. Feel the change in your pelvis and your sacroiliac joints as you do this. All right, and then spread limbs wide one more time, expanding open. Exhale. Draw your chin up, round your spine a little bit, and then release your head back down. Grab onto your strap. Okay. Draw your right knee into your chest, your left leg long on the floor. Roll your ankles around a little bit. See if you can feel some freedom beginning in your feet, your shins, your calves. When you're ready, wrap the strap around your right foot. Hook that strap somewhere around the arch or heel, and then relax your shoulders down into the ground. Let your elbows soften so that, it's okay if you want to have your arms straight up, but often when we straighten our arms, we tense our shoulders. So see what it might feel like to drop your elbows, let your shoulders relax, get long in your spine, long in your neck. Reach your foot up and drop your hip down. So find that extension and moving in two directions. We're going up and we're going down. All right, and then let's begin to point and flex your toes. So right toes lifting up toward the sky. You can do both feet. It doesn't have to just be your right foot. And of course, forgot to mention that left leg, your foot can be on the floor with your knee bent or your leg can be straight. Okay, and then we're going to open the right leg out to the right. Feel that extension. So today we're going to do, a fair amount of just some deep stretching to kind of open up some of the fascial systems in the body along with the muscles. So feel what it feels like to extend the crown. Try not to let your body roll over to the right. Stay rooted and grounded through your torso, your pelvis, and only allow the right leg to go out as much as you are able to stabilize in the body. So we don't want to have any, tug of war in our pelvis. And then bend your knee, bring your knee back in, and then lift your leg straight up again. This time, cross the right leg over to the left. You can hold the strap in two hands or just your left hand. Find your breath. So don't let this go so deep into a spinal twist. So we're not trying to drop our foot over to the floor. Instead, find the hip. See if you can stretch through the glutes a little bit. Feel the crown extend. Breathing. Lift that leg straight back up, 2 feet in the strap. Extend through the spine. Feel the femur bones move back, the spine grows, and then point and flex your toes while they're both in the strap. Just getting into the muscles of your feet and your calves. And then let's take the left foot into the strap. The right foot comes down onto the ground or the right leg comes down onto the ground. Enjoy. So this is not just about the hamstrings, but it's also about finding the axial extension in your spine. So extend crown to tail, a little tiny gap under your low back so that you have a neutral pelvis. Root the femur bone down to the earth. Reach your foot up toward the sky. Soften your knee. Relax the shoulders. Feel free to flex and point your toe here or roll it around or just be still. Whatever feels welcoming into your body. All right, and then let's open the left leg out to the left. Find a sense of space across the inner thigh. Check out where you are feeling this. So if you have a lot of tension and tug at the inner knee or at the sit bone, back away. Maybe bend the knee just a teeny bit. Find so that you're really moving into the belly of the muscle for your sensation instead of the end points of your tendons. The spine stays long. We're grounding the entire torso into the floor. And then lift that leg straight up in the air and let's cross the left leg over to the right. Left hip moving away from left shoulder. Stretch through your foot. Long spine. Soft shoulders. Find your breath. Enjoy the outer hip stretch. And then lift that leg straight back up. 2 feet into the strap one more time. Enjoy the extension through your spine. Okay, and then we're going to put the left foot down onto the ground again. Right foot stays in the strap. And we're going to bend the knee toward the chest and then straighten the leg out. And just a couple of times, just twice. And then switch sides. Left foot in, right foot on the ground. Bend the knee in and stretch it on up. Feel the deep hip compression. All right, and then take the strap off and leave that off to the side. Bring your knees back in. We're going to grab onto the feet. Happy baby pose is a very big flexion pose in the spine. So this is early in our practice to go deeply like this. So take your time. You can hold the backs of the knees instead. And now rock if you feel comfortable, left and right. Just feel some soothing for the spine. All right, and then release your feet down onto the ground and windshield wiper your knees left and right. Feel free to turn your head in opposition to the knees. How is your breath? So moving slowly, we're not even off the ground yet. So how do you feel? Just welcoming some different sensations in the body. All right, you might need a block for this. Take it over to the left side. We're going to drop our knees over to the left, and we're going to pick up our left foot and put it to the outside of the right knee, right shin, right thigh, wherever your left foot lands. Take a block if you need it and stick it underneath your left hip or your right knee, wherever you feel the block to be most supportive. And you don't have to use a block if your body's really open and you can come to the floor. Take a deep breath and let that fascia around the pelvis, around the side of the pelvis, open a little bit, feeling the IT band maybe. Breathe into the twist. And then lift up, put 2 feet onto the ground. Pause here for a moment and just do a little bit of an anterior and a posterior tilt to the pelvis. So widen the sit bones, flare out the pelvic floor, let the top of the sacrum lift, and then change. Top of the sacrum down, sit bones move toward each other, rounding the pelvis a bit. All right, now let's walk over to the other side. Knees coming over to the right. You can put a block underneath the outside of your right knee or right leg, or maybe even underneath your left knee. The right foot comes to the outside of the left leg. Support underneath your legs with the block is wherever you need it to be and however high you need it to be. Open up, it's hard to stretch the fibers of our obliques and our transverse abdominis and our deep low back muscles. And sometimes this pose can kind of get into that deeper fascia. We have a lot of fascia around our low back. So just see what your side feels like. Where are you feeling this? Is it different than the other side? All right, and then lift those knees back up. Okay, one more time, feet on the floor. Move through some pelvic motions. So anterior tilting the pelvis, nutating the sacrum, tailbone down, sacrum up, and then switch. Sacrum down, tailbone up. Just a little back and forth, loosening the back. And now we're going to come into a reverse pigeon pose. We're doing a lot of leg stretches before we get up off the floor. Try to enjoy this. We often don't spend this much time. We spend time on our backs, but not this much time. So can you enjoy the ease of slowly moving into your practice? So you can do what I'm doing and put your foot on a wall so you don't have to reach to your legs, or you can reach back and grab the back of your thigh, your hamstrings, wrap your hands around your hamstrings on that left leg. So whatever position you want to be in for this, open up the hips. See if you can roll the femur bone in the joint, extend the spine, stretch out through the big toe and the inner heel, breathing deeply. And then let's release, legs straight on the ground, spread your limbs, and then let's find the other side. So right foot on the ground, left foot on the right knee, and then pick up your right foot. And there's so many choices. You can grab on, you can behind your thigh, you can put your foot on a wall, you can even put your foot on a block so you're a little higher. This is a nice friendly way of doing a supportive pose if you don't have a wall nearby. So notice if your pelvis is doing weird things. Are you hiking one hip up closer to the shoulder? See if you can find balance. Draw your left knee away from your left shoulder to whatever place is comfortable. Extend the spine, widen the sit bones, and find your breath. All right, and then release. Starfish out your body, lengthen your limbs, stretch your arms and legs. Exhale, knees in, round the spine. And then let's go ahead and roll over onto our side and come up onto our hands and knees. So all fours, finding that sense of where you are in space. Okay. Swirl around the spine, move into 7 cat-cows, whatever kind of movement is it you are invited to do. So let your body invite you to movement. Don't assume you have to do cat-cow first. Just find whatever movement the body allows, and then also notice that your body moves in multiple planes simultaneously. So can you feel a little swirl of the spine at the same time as moving into some flexion and extension? Notice how you have so much articulation. And then drop your hips back down toward the heels and stretch into child's pose. If you can't go down far, that's okay. Walk your hands forward. So just come into any range that is best for your shoulders, your hips, your knees. All right, let's walk our hands over to the left side of the mat, opening the right rib cage up, feeling that sense of space. Breathe. All right, and then walk over to the other side. How is the breath making you feel today? All right, let's come back to center. Back into child's pose, stretch through your spine, put your arms wherever you want them to be. Take a breath down the back of your body, and then find your way up to dog pose as you're ready. So as you stretch and lengthen, you know, this is such a, dog pose is beautiful on so many levels. It's weight bearing on all 4 limbs, which is awesome for our bones. It is an inversion, so you get the feeling of all the blood and lymph and fluid regulation shifting a little bit, inverting the body. The brain gets to bathe. And then also it's a forward fold. So it's this deep inner pose. So allow yourself to kind of wrap yourself inside. Close your eyes maybe. See what it feels like to just be deeply intimate with yourself, where the outside world starts to fade just a little bit and you're really inside yourself, inside the breath. Any movement that you want. If you feel like pedaling your feet, pedal your feet. If you want to sway your hips or move your shoulders or drop your skull down a little bit more, any movement that invites you deeper into yourself. How is your breath? Can you fill? Can you empty? Enjoy. All right, and let's walk our feet forward and come into Uttanasana. Okay. Let's shake our hips around a little bit, shake your head, feel what you need to feel. Knees are deeply bent. Same, it's a very introspective pose. Can you feel that deep inner space? Halfway lift, hands on blocks if you're comfortable with that, or hands on legs. Stretch and lengthen your spine. Stretch the backs of your legs a little straighter. And then release and melt again. Knees bent, spine melts. Push off your feet and rise up. So find, if you're dizzy, remember the midline squeeze. You can always cross one leg over. You can always squeeze to the midline with your hands to raise your blood pressure back up if you struggle with some orthostatic hypotension. Okay, shake out your hands. Okay. You know, I like to do this just because I use my hands for my work all day, but we're all using our hands for our work all day now. You know, so much time spent on screens or on, you know, using our hands to manipulate screens. So let's just shake it out, let things go. And take a deep breath, open your chest up, lean back a little bit, find the open heart, stretch into your chest, and then exhale and round forward, fold with your forearms to touch. Inhale, rise back up, lean back a little bit, spread your hands wide open. Feel the openness of your sternum. What do you want to do with your hands? Is there a specific place you'd like to put your hands in space? Pull your arms back just a little bit, stretch through your chest, and release your shoulders. Let's shrug the shoulders a few times, rolling up toward the ears, around and down, and then change directions, roll the shoulders the other way. And then inhale, lifting up, exhale, folding forward. Do you have a foot that you lean into more? See if you can find balance. Inhale, halfway lift, stretch the spine. Exhale, left foot back, right foot forward, coming to a lunge. Feel the hip flexors open. Let's go ahead and choose whether you want to put your back knee down onto the ground to make the pose a little bit more gentle, or whether you need to have your foot up because maybe your knee isn't comfortable on the ground. So you do you. Rise up, crescent lunge, either with knee up or knee down. Spread open your wings. Where do you want your arms? How do you want to be? You can even interlace your hands behind you if you want. Whatever's feeling spacious, opening you up, feeling a sense of freedom in the breath and body. Exhale and bring your hands back down onto the ground. Dog pose. Feel the extension through your spine. Enjoy wide sit bones. Stretch through the bottom of your feet. Breathe deeply. And then come forward into a plank. Hold yourself steady here. You can always put your knees down to support you. Feel the weight bearing in your arms. Can you feel that rebound, the travel of the yield moving through your limbs? And then let's go ahead and find ourselves down all the way onto our belly. Lie down. Okay, roll the shoulders back again. Take a deep breath in. Open the chest. And then exhale and melt. Come back down again. Let's try one more time. Feeling the sense of open space. Exhale and melt. Last time. Opening your chest up. Feeling the back body enliven. Release and melt back down to the floor. Come up onto your hands and your knees and move things around so you can swirl through your spine. Find the breath. All right, and then let's go ahead and place our hands on blocks for a little height and bring your left foot forward and come into a lunge on this side. So decide, do you want your knee down onto the ground? What did you do on the other side? See if you can find symmetry, unless you have, an issue going on this side of your body with your knee or something that you need to have a different choice. Rise up to crescent lunge when you're ready. Spread open your wings. Pull your arms back a little further back than your chest. See what that feels like. Try not to just push the floating ribs forward. Integrate anything you want with your arms. Breathe into open space. And then release your hands down onto the ground and come back onto all fours. So bring your hands down, knees down onto the ground. Swish your spine around and swirl, sway. Lift your right leg straight back behind you. Your left arm out in front of you. Integrate the center body. Feel the weight bearing in your hand and your knee. And can you root? Can you drop the hand into the earth and feel the rebound through your bones? Are you integrating front and back body? And then exhale. Touch your elbow and knee underneath you. Inhale and bring it on out. Exhale, hand and knee come down onto the ground. Change sides. Let's lift the left leg back, right arm forward. This is, for some, this is very challenging balance-wise. There's a lot of integration here of a lot of different muscles. Your glutes, your outer hips, your inner thighs, your shoulders, your back, your core. There's a lot working in a posture like this. Take a deep breath in, stretch your limbs. Exhale, knee into the chest, elbow into the chest. Bring it on out again. Find your breathing. And place your hands and knees back down onto the ground. When you're ready, find your way back to dog pose. Extend through the spine again. Enjoy the inner work, the melting of the inversion, the forward fold, The weight bearing through all four limbs. Can you feel the rooting into the earth, the rebound through your bones? Can you feel the transmission through your bones? How's your breath? All right, let's walk our feet forward. Come into Uttanasana. Rise all the way up. Okay, let's take our feet wide on the mat. So turn sideways. Take your feet broad. Enjoy the upwardness, so the rise. Lift into the rise of your spine. Bring your arms straight out. Feel large in your body, so stretch into your limbs. Okay, and then we're going to tip halfway, so hands on hips. You can bend your knees to do this. You can straighten your legs. If you feel you need to, put your hands down on something. You don't have to hold yourself up. Soft knees. Thigh bones back, soft knees, spread out the bones of your feet. Okay, and then let's release our hands down to the floor or the blocks. Take your left hand on a block in the center line of your body. Inhale, lift your right arm up in the air or hand on hip. So try not to let the hip drop. See if you can keep some balance through the pelvis. Let the work happen in your thoracic spine. Spread out the bones of your feet. Lengthen crown to tail. And then exhale and melt back down again. Change sides. Find that hand in the midline. It's so easy to drop the hip. See if you can find some balance between the two sides of the pelvis. A little counter resistance of turning the belly back toward the back hip. And then exhale and release your hands. Go ahead and come on up. We're going to bring our feet a little closer in and just come to a squat. So drop the hips down. If you have a knee that is not so happy, try not to just lean into your dominant side. Go as high as you need to, where you feel the work being able to be held, the load of your weight being able to be held bilaterally, evenly. Lengthen through your spine. Squat into the hips, and then rise back up. Turn your foot, right foot out, Parsva Konasana. So bring your elbow onto your knee, open through your chest, and reach your arm up in the air, extending through the spine, feeling the breath. Notice if this hip wants to push forward, see if you can draw the back hip, femur bone back a little bit, let the pelvis turn. Press into both feet, extend through the crown. And then rise back up. Let's find our way into Virya-2. So just bend that knee. And remember, your Virya-2 can be up here. It does not have to be super deep. So find whatever is working for your body. Full breaths here. Drop the shoulders down, lift the heart. Find your Virya. So, if your knee is troublesome, try going higher, like up here, where there's not much bend in your knee, and feel the expansion, the openness through your body. How's your back leg? Can you feel equal weight grounding? And then release and relax your hands down onto the ground. Let's go ahead and turn our feet over to the other side. So find Parsva Konasana. So, I'm choosing to do Parsva Konasana before Virya to let you, kind of just get used to deep flexion in the hip. Let the hip flex. Let the elbow come down onto the knee. Open the chest. See if you tend to push this hip forward, draw it back. And if your knee caves in, turn your pelvis more. So with this front knee, if your knee wants to move toward the big toe side, see, and when you try to track your knee in the middle of your toe, this hip pushes forward. Instead of letting the femur bone push forward of that back leg, turn your whole pelvis a little bit toward the front leg. And just see what you can find. Drop both feet into the earth. Extend your arm if it's comfortable. All right, and then lift yourself back up. Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. So remember your bend does not have to be very deep. It can be up here. Okay, find the pose, drop the shoulders down, open the chest. Once again, if your knee tends to want to cave forward, see if you can let the pelvis turn a little bit toward that front foot. So we're letting the pelvis shift a bit to the left. So if your left foot was 12 o'clock, our pelvis is facing about, 10 o'clock. Breathe deeply. All right, and then let's rise up out of that pose. Turn your feet straight again. Pasrita, just take your hands on blocks, release your head down, find your breath. I'm realizing my watch is not working, so I'm just moving my phone over here so I can not keep you here for 2 hours. You can see my clock. All right, let's go ahead and spin back to the front of the mat, and we're going back into dog pose. Long spine here, deep breath. Feel the extension, inner spiral the upper thighs a bit. And then last time through, we're going to take a plank pose. If you can't do plank pose, just put your knees down onto the ground. So one of the joys of yoga is this weight bearing that we have on the upper body. I'm going to sneeze, sorry. Maybe I'm not, but this is unusual. So many different types of exercise don't have a lot of weight bearing on our hands. So if your wrist can handle it, weight bear on your hands. And if your wrist can't handle it, weight bear on your forearms. You'll still get a lot of strength building in your bones. Okay, let's find our way down onto the ground. Come onto your belly. Choose a back bend. Maybe Sphinx pose with your forearms on the ground. Maybe Salambhasana, locust pose, your hands interlaced behind your back. See what your body wants to do. And then exhale and release toward the ground. Come back up onto all fours, swirl it around, and come back to child's pose once your spine feels neutral. So sometimes going from a back bend right to child's pose is a very big transition. So take your time on all fours to move the spine laterally, to do some circles, a cat-cow, whatever feels good, and then find child's pose. Now we're going to stay down on the ground for a while. So enjoy. So let yourself start to feel that this practice is turning in even more internal. So do you want your knees a little bit wider? Do you want your knees a little bit closer? Do you need to put a block underneath your head to support you? All right, let's go ahead and find our way onto our back. So first, just being neutral here. We're going to do a supported bridge pose, but first, I just want you to feel the sense of a neutral spine. Melt the shoulders. And let's practice what the upper body wants to do in bridge before we lift up into a bridge. So lift up each shoulder and kind of tuck the shoulder blade under a little bit more so that we're rolling the arm bones, the humerus bones, open. So kind of rolling them out. Palms are facing up toward the sky. And you'll notice that as you bring your shoulder blades toward each other, now your thoracic spine is lifted off the floor. Melt through your skull. Open across the collarbones and chest. So there's work to be had in holding this, but what freedom just came? Was there freedom in your breath at all? Was there freedom in the way your head can drop down? And then melt and relax your shoulders. Take a deep breath here. Now we're going to take a block, and you, of course, can do this actively if you don't want to do it passively. Have the block on any height you want across your sacrum. So you don't want the block to be narrow in line with your spine. You want the block to be perpendicular to your spine. So either on the lowest height like this or the middle height. Now, if you want to go high, stack 2 blocks underneath you instead of putting the narrow height of the block underneath your pelvis. So whatever height you want to be, nothing's better than anything else. So just trust your body to tell you what it wants today. There's no goal that I must go higher. That's not the purpose of this. The purpose is to rest in a sense of a change in your pelvis. This is a change of perspective for your pelvis. How is your breath? Now let's have that slight rolling the shoulder blades down the back a little bit. Feel the sense of opening across the collarbones, flipping the heads of the arm bones out so that the palms can easily rest up toward the sky. Melt the neck and shoulders. See if you can prevent yourself from having a lot of lockdown in your throat or the base of your skull. Remember, we're here to breathe. All right, now to get a little bit deeper into this posture, choose maybe a lower height of the block now underneath you. And we're going to stretch your right leg long on the floor. So you can keep your left foot on the ground. You can adjust. If this is too high, you can change and put a blanket underneath your pelvis. And if you want something more, if you want something a little deeper, you can bring your left foot up and grab behind your hamstring or the front of your shin around your knee and stretch your knee toward your chest, opening up the hip flexors. And then while you're here, see what it feels like to have not just your psoas stretch, but your breath get into it. Find what your breath does for the openness of your hip flexors. Stretch your heel on the ground. All right, and then release. 2 feet bent, knees bent. Okay, not feet bent, knees bent. And then switch sides. Left leg is straight, heel comes down onto the ground. And decide whether you want to hang out right here if this is enough good stretch for your pelvis. And if it's too much, try dragging your foot a few inches toward the pelvis so your foot isn't totally on the ground, but your leg isn't totally straight either. If you want more, go ahead and grab onto your right knee and stretch the hip flexors on that left side. Breathing well. Let's go ahead and release, melt that. Keep the block underneath you. Be very mindful. Keep it low. And if this doesn't feel good, don't do it. But if it feels good, bring the knees toward the chest and breathe. All right, let's go ahead and release. Come off of the block, 2 feet on the ground. Lift the hips up and just lie down again on the floor. Neutral spine, feet on the floor. Take a deep breath here. All right, take your feet a little wider than your hips and windshield wiper your knees, lefty, righty. All right. Okay, let's roll over onto your right side. Find a block and put it underneath your head if you want a little support underneath your head. Just rest here for a moment. Let your body soften. And then we're going to grab onto the top foot, so your left foot. Hold onto that ankle and stretch through your thigh. So stretch the leg back. If you can't reach your foot, go ahead and use a strap around your foot. And, let yourself have some stability. So try to spread your arm and your leg on the floor in a place that makes you feel grounded and supported. And then bend the knee into the chest, roll over onto your side and roll right over to the left. Take a block under your head or a blanket or nothing. Decide what you want. Rest for a moment. And then as you're ready, grab onto the front of the right ankle and then stretch that knee away from your chest. Tailbone stretches toward the knee, pubic bone lifts toward the navel. Chest is open. Breathe here. Melt again, come back onto your back, bring your knees to your chest and rock. Swaying from side to side. All right, we're going to roll over onto our side. I hate to make you sit up, but sit up for a moment. We'll go back down. We're just going to do a couple of forward folds here. So find the blanket to rest upon. Put a blanket underneath your pelvis. Spread your legs out. Okay. Upavista Konasana. All right, so being up on the edge of the blanket will tip the pelvis forward a little bit so that you have a neutral spine. Rise up through your crown. Okay. Breathe deeply. If your legs can't go straight, you need to be bent a little bit, stick a blanket or blocks, whatever you have, underneath your knees so that you have some ease there. Okay, but if you do that, if you end up having support underneath your knees, make sure you're not rolling back onto the sacrum, that you're staying supported on the front edge of your sit bones. Choose whether you want your hands behind you to lift the spine and open the chest, or whether you would like to lean forward a little bit. If you lean forward, try not to round the spine. Okay, see if you can come forward with a long, spacious spine. Stretch through the feet, round your legs. Deep breaths. Let's find our way back up. A simple twist while we're here. One hand in front, one hand behind. Lift your sternum. And then come back to center. Deep breath. All right, and then release. Okay, so your choice, your body is warmed up and prepared for just about any restorative pose that you want to do. So you can do leg up the wall pose where you go against a wall and have either a blanket under your pelvis or nothing under your pelvis. Sometimes I like a blanket under my head as well. You can come into Supta Virasana, which is when this may not be available for many people, but you can sit in between your legs and lay back on a bolster. You can be in Supta Baddha Konasana, where the soles of the feet are together and we're laying back on bolsters or on the floor, taking care to make sure that you are supporting underneath your legs. You can come into a supported child's pose over a bolster or a couch pillow. You can put your legs up on a couch and rest your spine on the ground. You can take a twist over a bolster. If you're not familiar with that one, let me get my bolster. You can take a bolster off to the side, bend your other knee in half virasana, and lay your belly down on the bolster. So many choices to move into for a restorative sequence. Okay, so remember that restorative postures are given to us as a gift to replenish, to calm our nervous system, to come into that place of self-care. And if rainy days have anything to offer us besides the much needed moisture, it's this opportunity for going in and self-care. It's kind of like rain and self-care can come together. So breathe your way into whatever relaxing posture you're in. Are you supported? Is your body comfortable? Are you at ease? Do you need to adjust anything? Is there any props that you need or a slight change of what your body's doing in space? And if you feel good, What can you do to drop your whole body? All your limbs yield. Even if it doesn't matter what's touching the floor, but whatever is touching the floor, can you yield into it? Can you drop into it? How is your breath? Are you letting your exhales lengthen just a little bit more? Does this feel good? Does it feel like self care? What can you do to enhance that? Is your heart open? Are you able to speak kindly to yourself inside your mind? Can you speak kindly to yourself in your body? All right, let's begin to transition out of this posture and into Shavasana. But take your time for any kind of stretch or movement you need to kind of come into balance after whatever pose you're choosing. As you transition, remember, as always, our breath is deeply supportive of our well being. And it's so easy to just forget about your breath. It's so easy to just go about your day and never think about your breath. So let's take the time as we transition and as we come into Shavasana. So take your time, any postures that's needed. Can you find your breath? Melt. Melt everything you can down. Imagine that your breath is a pulsing wave. You are the wave. The limbs are soft and heavy. The face, the neck, the shoulders, soft and spacious. Scan and make sure you can find any little pockets that you can let go. See if you can make sure to let them go. And can you enjoy what it feels like to give your body over to rest? Is this nourishing to you? So enjoy that nourishment. Fall into the breath. Let's begin to deepen your breathing again. Feel into your breath and your body. If it feels good, stretch a little bit, maybe big body stretch with your arms and legs. Maybe something much smaller, like rolling around your fingers. Eventually, bringing your knees toward your chest and coming onto your side. And coming up to sit. Drop the shoulders. Find a centered place of ease again. Take a deep breath. And as you exhale, give your energy off to the people that you're thinking of or person. Send your energy, offering your practice to another. Namaste. Thank you, friends. Good to see you.